Well, now I think this is another pep tactic, but we're going to have some fun with it anyway. Let's just dive in and see what happens. Now, it's called Pepilicious, so I'm assuming it's another Pep Guardiola tactic. However, it was tested with Arsenal, and the description in it says it has good movement and fun game to watch. Only tested with Arsenal, but we won both the league and the FA Cup. Not always a goal machine or a defensive wall, but the game is moving and fun. Play for the crowd. I think this gives a solid foundation to stand on. You can always try new roles for your team. For example, this tactic started with a libero role and a halfback. So take a look. It says feel free to experiment, as you're always free to do on any tactic that you see. But I mean, winning Arsenal, both the league and the FA Cup, is a great start. But we're going to test it out with our three teams of Liverpool and Aston Villa in the Premier League and our championship side of Ipswich Town in a holiday save. So let's just dive into the Premier League and see how it went. Well, for Liverpool in third place, 81 points. That's a little bit average. 98 goals is pretty nice though, but Man City getting 95. Wow. Aston Villa with 62 is definitely lower than what we expect. So, starting with Liverpool in the domestic cups, they're out in the FA Cup third round, 0-2 to Chelsea. They get to the Carabao Cup final and beat Manchester United 2-0. Unfortunately, though, they get to the final of the Europa League, losing out to Roma 1-2. So all in all, it was a fine season, don't get me wrong, but we have definitely seen better. Squad-wise, they've got some green, that's no question about it, but goals 26 for Nunez is the top, 17 for Szoboszlai, assists 17 for Robertson, Szoboszlai with 14, and then average rating, Mohamed Salah gets a 7.25. 17 appearances though, wow. Nunez getting a 7.17. Yeah, I was going to say originally that a lot of times the problem with having a holiday season where your coaches are doing everything for you is they can pick the players they think is the best, where you might have a better player in mind on your squad. This time around, it's not really the case where Nunez just gets used more and more. Mohamed Salah was out for 290 days. That's a doozy. But we are going to switch it up and look at Aston Villa's domestic cup run now. Unfortunately, out in the Carabao Cup quarterfinals, again to Chelsea, 0-4 this time. They get to the FA Cup final, but 0-1 lost it. Well, Chelsea. But they do have a phenomenal run all the way to the Europa Conference League final, 4-2 win over Eintracht Frankfurt. So overall, FA Cup is pretty good, Conference League is fantastic, but the league, what happened to the league? And there you go in the green. Definitely not the greatest we've ever seen, but 14 goals for Bailey is the tops, 13 for Zaniolo, assists 13 for Diaby, 11 for Ramsey, and then average rating, well, Gauchi gets hit, but Leon Bailey with a 7.06, and that's 25 plus 23. Wow. Data hub for the two teams, though, starting with Liverpool, attacking wise, yeah, they cover all the bases and they do very well. Unfortunately, shots per game is down. Non-penalty expected XG per 90 is down. They've got some good defensive numbers, no question about it, but 2.58 goals per game is not bad. 0.82 conceded, 0.92 XG against. Aston Villa, on the other hand, yeah, attacking wise, definitely nowhere near there. Possession one and shutouts rather are fantastic. Everything else is not the greatest. 1.45 goals per game, just 0.01 higher than the average is not great. 1.16 conceded is actually not too bad for them. 1.32 XG against is a bit higher. Premier League stats, Liverpool and Aston Villa making the list for most of it, but overall, Liverpool definitely doing the better job. 2.13 points per game in third, Aston Villa with 1.63. Most goals, 98 for Liverpool, but not a handful higher than Man City that we usually see. However, Man City at Chelsea, that's a big dip. Aston Villa, though, do make the list at 55, fewest shots against. Liverpool with 312, Villa with 386, most possession 51% for Liverpool, most dribbles made Liverpool with 634, and most shots for Liverpool with 553 and Villa with 421. But now, how did it work for the championship side of Ipswich Town? Let's just jump in and see. Well, second place. I will give you that. I will definitely take it. Unfortunately, I mean, the creator of the tactic already said it's not a goal scoring machine. So 103 to 108 versus Leicester. I mean, it would be nice to pick up, but you still get second place, 1 point higher in the table, automatic promotion. I would take it. Domestic Cups for Ipswich, out in the Carabao Cup fourth round, 0-3 to Bournemouth, and out in the FA Cup fourth round, 0-1 to Cardiff. So overall, definitely, this is where it's at the championship. You could push that up to 109 if you're good enough, if you can play with the transfers and everything well enough. But at least you're in second place here. And squad-wise, yeah, they don't usually get a lot of green, unfortunately. But 16 goals for Hurst, 11 for Connor Chaplin. Assists, 13 for Fabian Reeder, who does come in, 13 for Connor Chaplin. Average rating, George Hurst, of course, with his 7.35. I'm guessing, oh, Leif Davis is there. Wow, he did not do well, at least comparatively. Championship stats, 2.15 points per game in second. Definitely lower than what we usually see. Most goals in third with 103, and that is after playoffs, even though Ipswich did not do the playoffs, but the other two did. Fewer shots against in second with 323, and most shots for in fourth with 591. Taking a bit of a deeper dive into the tactic itself, we start out with a sweeper keeper in attack, and keep this in mind, not a lot of players have actual individual player instructions. Some do, some don't, but definitely keep that in mind. On the left, we have an inverted wingback in support. On the right is an inverted fullback. We got a central defender in defend next to a ball-playing defender in defend, a deep-lying playmaker in support above them, a CM in attack next to a Mazzala in attack, a winger in attack on both sides, and a pressing forward in attack up front. Balanced mentality, in possession, attacking with is fairly wide, approach play is pass into space, underlap on the left, but play out of defense, passing directness is slightly more direct, tempo is slightly higher, mix crosses and work the ball in the box. In transition, counter press, counter, distribute to the center backs and roll it out. And out of possession, a high press line of engagement, a higher defensive line, trigger press more often, prevent your goalkeeper distribution. But now, overall, how did it do for our three teams? It wasn't bad, I guess. Ipswich coming in second place. I really wish they'd come up a little more, though. So definitely that would be on you to take a look at, do some transfers and things like that, and see what you can do. Liverpool coming third is Champions League, but it's 81 points. You are only 3 off Chelsea in the first spot, so I definitely think you could pick that up a little bit better easily. Aston Villa in 7th, 62. You could probably get to Tottenham at least, maybe. But I mean, I guess usually it all depends on how you feel and how you are at the game and who you bring in, how you can manage things well enough and all of that. But now again, when it comes to the tactics itself, they basically said, feel free to experiment. Take a look, bump that up from balance to, a little bit higher positive or something and see how that works. It might leak some goals, play with the back end. You might have a fantastic defense, or you might be able to bring in a fantastic defense and kind of bump this up. Obviously, what I've seen so far in FM24, the higher the mentality, the better off you do as long as you don't leak too many goals. But in this case, it was fine. I definitely would like to see it, increase some numbers here and there. But let us know if you tried it in the comments below and how it worked for you. But overall, not too bad. But that's it for me, Sefian FM, for the Football Manager blog channel, saying thank you as always for watching. Take care and enjoy.